How's it going, math scholars? Today's topic is how to convert time between numbers and words. And if you were in our previous topic, you will notice that there's a familiar clock right over here. And if you remember, we said that the time for this clock was 7:45. And we didn't know if it was AM or PM, but that's okay. We can move on from there. So, we're going to take this skill that we learned last time, the topic that we introduced last time, and move forward. How do we say this in words? And you guys have already read this out loud as 7:45. So we know we can say it as 7:45. And that's true. The most common way to do it is just to say it in hours and then minutes. In this case, 7:45. However, there are some exceptions, and since we're dealing with quarter hours, I wanted to go over these exceptions. We can use, the first exception, this word after. After. We can say that this is a certain time amount of minutes after a certain hour. So what does this mean? In our example, it's 7:45. We can say that it's 45 minutes after 7. But that seems a little bit, I don't know, doesn't seem very conventional. So we're going to move on real quickly and talk about before. Before. Well, if we think about it, if it's 7:45, and this is our hour hand is pointing between 7 and 8, how many minutes is it before 8 o'clock? And we got to think about, our minute hand has to move all the way up to pointing towards this 12 before it becomes 8 o'clock. So literally, it's 15 minutes until it's 8 o'clock. So using before, we can say that it's 15 minutes before 8. That seems like a better way of doing it. Saying 45 minutes before 8 doesn't kind of make sense, but saying 15 minutes before 8 kind of seems to make sense. So what if, let me erase all of this, what if our minute hand was actually pointing towards the 3 for 15 minutes? Then I imagine we could probably say, if it's 7:15, it'd be reasonable to say that's 15 minutes after 7 o'clock, but it probably would not be reasonable to say it's 45 minutes before 8. So keep in mind, it's all up to you how you use it, but in general, try to go with making this number as low as possible when you decide to use after or before. Or you can just go back to the super standard way of saying the hours and the minutes. 7:15, 7:45, 8:45, etc. Well, if you're ready, move on to the skills. I'll see you there.